It feels impossible. A universe without laws sounds like chaos, randomness without structure, events happening without reason. From the moment you learn what physics is, you are taught that laws are what make reality function. They are the rules that hold everything together. Remove the laws, and reality should collapse. And yet, modern physics quietly suggests something far stranger. The universe may not need laws in the way you think. It could exist without fundamental laws and still work, not because it becomes chaotic, but because order can emerge without rules being written in advance. This idea feels dangerous because it undermines the foundation of explanation itself. Physics is the search for laws. If there are no fundamental laws, what is physics doing? The discomfort comes from mistaking description for governance. Laws feel like commands imposed on reality, but physics increasingly treats them as summaries of behavior. They describe what happens, they do not cause it. This distinction matters. If laws are descriptions rather than prescriptions, then reality does not need laws to operate. It needs structure, and structure can arise without fixed rules. Consider how order emerges in complex systems. A flock of birds moves as if governed by precise rules, yet no bird knows the rules. The pattern emerges from local interactions. Traffic jams form without any global instruction. Markets behave lawfully without a lawgiver. In these systems, order appears without being imposed. The rules are discovered after the fact. They are not written beforehand. Physics now asks whether the same could be true at the deepest level of reality. The universe may not be following a pre-existing rulebook. The rulebook may be something we write to summarize what usually happens. This idea gains strength when you examine how laws change. The laws governing matter today were not the same in the early universe. Forces were unified, symmetries were intact. As conditions changed, so did behavior. The universe did not consult a new set of laws. It transitioned. Behavior shifted because structure shifted. Laws followed. This suggests that laws are phase-dependent. They exist because the universe is in a particular state. Change the state, and the laws change. No fundamental command was broken. There was never a single command to begin with. The idea of a lawless universe does not mean unpredictability everywhere. It means predictability arises locally and temporarily. Patterns stabilize because certain configurations persist. Once they persist, we describe them as laws, but persistence does not require a law. It requires feedback, constraint, and interaction. These are deeper than any specific rule. At the quantum level, this becomes even clearer. Quantum mechanics does not describe objects obeying rules. It describes probabilities updating through interaction. The equations tell you how to calculate outcomes, but they do not explain why those equations exist. They work because the universe behaves consistently enough for them to work. That consistency may be a fact, not a rule. Reality might be consistent without being governed. This flips the intuition. We assume laws make consistency possible. Physics increasingly suggests consistency makes laws possible. Once consistency exists, laws can be inferred. Without consistency, no laws could be written. The existence of laws therefore presupposes something deeper, a reality that does not contradict itself. That non-contradiction may be the only fundamental feature. Everything else may be emergent. Some physicists push this idea further. They suggest that the universe may be self-consistent rather than law-governed. Events occur in ways that avoid contradiction, not because they obey rules, but because inconsistent histories cannot exist. This idea appears in approaches to quantum gravity and time travel paradoxes. Instead of banning impossible events with laws, reality simply does not realize inconsistent configurations. What remains looks lawful, but the lawfulness is a consequence, not a cause. This perspective dissolves a long-standing assumption that laws are necessary for order. Order can arise from selection, from stability, from survivability of patterns. Patterns that destroy themselves do not persist. Patterns that persist look lawful. Over time, only stable regularities remain. The universe may not be ruled by laws. It may be filtered by consistency. This also explains why laws are mathematical. Mathematics describes structure, not command. If reality is structured rather than governed, mathematics is the natural language to describe it. Equations capture relationships that persist. They do not enforce them. This is why mathematics predicts behavior so well. It mirrors structure. It does not legislate it. The unsettling implication is that laws may not exist at the deepest level. They may be emergent conveniences, effective summaries of a universe that happens to behave regularly. This does not make physics meaningless. It redefines it. Physics becomes the study of stable patterns, not eternal rules. It maps what persists, not what must. This shift also explains why physics keeps encountering limits, singularities, phase transitions. regime changes. At these boundaries, laws break down because the patterns they describe no longer persist. New patterns emerge, new laws are written. Nothing fundamental is violated because nothing fundamental was enforcing the old rules. This perspective also reframes necessity. The universe does not work because it must obey laws. It works because configurations that work persist, those that do not vanish. Reality selects for coherence, not by intention, by structure. Incoherent configurations cannot exist. They collapse immediately. Coherent ones remain. Over time, the universe looks lawful because only lawful-looking behavior survives. This is a disturbing inversion. It suggests that the universe does not need laws to function. It needs only the absence of contradiction. Everything else follows. Laws are the stories we tell about what remains. This idea is difficult to accept because it removes the sense of authority. There is no ultimate rulebook guaranteeing stability. Stability is earned moment by moment, maintained by deeper constraints we do not fully understand. The universe could exist without laws and still work, because workability does not require command. It requires coherence. Once coherence exists, patterns emerge. Once patterns emerge, we call them laws. Physics has been inching toward this realization. Every time it discovers that a law is not fundamental, but emergent, it moves one layer down. The pattern repeats. Laws dissolve into deeper structure. At some point, there may be nothing left to dissolve into except consistency itself. And consistency is not a law, it is a condition. The universe may not obey laws because there may be no laws to obey. There may only be what does not contradict itself. And from that, everything you see emerges. This idea does not make the universe arbitrary. It makes it constrained in a different way. Constraint without command, order without instruction. Reality may work not because it follows laws, but because it cannot do otherwise without ceasing to exist. That is a very different foundation. And it changes how you think about explanation. The deepest explanation may not be a rule. It may be the absence of inconsistency. The universe works because it can, not because it must. And that possibility is stranger than any law we have ever written. This is Veritas Labs, where truth is tested.